In today's video, we're going to be discussing the chaotic bench brawl that happened at the Red Wings and Flames game last night. We're going to discuss what happened, how the league's likely to handle things, and I'll give you my full analysis. And that's coming up next. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. We analyze and review all 31 NHL teams with an unbiased opinion and cover all the latest news, trade buzz, etc. So if you love hockey, hit that subscribe button now so you don't miss anything. Alright, diving into today's content, we had ourselves a good old-fashioned bench brawl last night, and things were pretty chaotic and really got out of hand between the Red Wings and the Flames. It all started as the Flames were going up the ice. We had ourselves a little fight breakout between Witkowski and Kulak. Now the problem that stemmed after, Witkowski clearly won the fight. He really stunned Kulak, really knocked him down. But afterwards, he was grabbing him by the jersey and really giving him some ragdoll shoves or whatever you want to call it. That really upset the Flames, and I don't blame them. But that's really what set things off. If you didn't see this incident live, or this is the first time you're hearing about it, I will certainly put a link in the description down below so you can check out. I have coverage that I've been watching here that I found to share with you from Sportsnet. Obviously, I don't want to show it here directly on camera, as I don't want to risk getting any kind of copyright strikes. But I will put a link in the description just so you can watch it for yourself and see what happened. It was pretty crazy. In this case, even though both players were willing participants in the fight, it was clearly a case of Witkowski going to looking for the fight, and Kulak didn't back down at all. Fact of the matter is, though, they're both the same height. They're both 6'2", but Witkowski has almost 25 pounds on this guy, so there's a little bit of a size mismatch. And really, have you ever seen any of the top enforcers in league history really take advantage of a player once they're down and really ragdoll them like that? I don't think that's called for, and I don't understand why Witkowski would do it. I certainly don't blame the Flames for being upset over this. This kind of goes against the so-called protocol, if you will. I mean, even if you look back at some of the top fighters, you know, since we're talking about the Red Wings, we can reference Bob Probert here. You never seen him do something like that. When the guy's down, it's over. Now, obviously, with everything that just went down and all the players kind of converging near each other, near the benches, that chaos just ensued afterwards. Obviously, Witkowski wasn't letting things go, and the other players were getting involved, and things just got crazy after that. Once Witkowski was escorted off the ice, he actually came back onto the playing surface, which normally leads to an automatic suspension. In my opinion, I don't think the NHL is going to have any way around this, and they're not going to be pleased with the fact that a player who was just given a game misconduct came back onto the ice surface. I mean, that's just uncalled for. It's automatic. The last time I can recall seeing this was a case of David Clarkson in the preseason with the Maple Leafs back of 3 or 4 years ago. And obviously, that was an automatic 10-game suspension. When you see players coming off the bench or coming off of leaving the surface and coming back once they've been escorted off, that's automatic. If you read the rule book, that's what it says. So that's more than likely what's going to happen to Witkowski. But the fact is, there was lots of other incidents in this case. We saw obviously players starting to grab each other, and a pretty decent fight broke out between Anthony Mantha of the Red Wings and Travis Hamonic of the Flames. Now, because of where they were located, right beside the bench, once they kind of were fighting and worked their way down the bench, the gate opened and they fell into the gate down the hallway a little bit. That was a little bit dangerous. Mantha was on top of Hamonic, and you could clearly see a little bit, and you could also hear the commentators who had a better view from over top saying that Mantha, even though he was on top of Hamonic, Hamonic's clearly down behind the bench into the hallway, and he was just laying punch after punch after punch to him. In my opinion, that also uncalled for. Obviously, you're in a bit of a fight because of what happened. I understand that's how things work. That part's not a big deal. But again, once you're down, you're down. It's not like it was a wrestling match or anything and they were kind of just, you know, wrestling back and forth. Mantha was clearly on top of him and he was wailing on him by the looks of things. So, uncalled for. So I'm not sure what's going on with Detroit, why all of a sudden they think they're so tough, because clearly these are just the types of incidents that are going to get themselves in trouble with the league. Now, from the Flames side of things, obviously Matthew Tkachuk was on the ice, and if anybody's been watching the Flames and is familiar with Matthew Tkachuk, you know that he likes to stir the pot, we'll say. He certainly didn't make things any easier. He kind of added fuel to the fire. As Witkowski was going off, the reason he came back was Tkachuk tapped him on the back of the legs with his stick and kind of antagonized him a little bit. So, of course, Witkowski at this point is all fired up just after a fight, and he came back to challenge him and the other guys on the bench who were mouthing at him. You could see there was clearly a bunch of Flames players at the end of the bench yelling at Witkowski as well. And, you know, not to give him an excuse for coming back, because he clearly made a no-no and broke the rules, but, you know, Tkachuk certainly stirred the pot and played a role. Now, Tkachuk was also given a 5-minute major for spearing and was kicked out of the game, which is also going to warrant an automatic review by the league. I'm not really sure why they called it spearing. To be honest, I think it was just a matter of the case if they thought he should be ejected based on his actions, the fact that he was kind of not letting things go and stirring things up further. He technically used his stick. It looked like a look, you know, clearly wasn't anything near a traditional spear that I could see, but I think they mainly called it that just for lack of a better term, I guess. They didn't feel like unsportsmanlike conduct was severe enough. I can't see him getting additional discipline because really he didn't do anything really all that major. Yes, he was yapping his mouth and he was kind of stirring the pot, but you know, from a physical standpoint, he really didn't do anything that I could see that justifies additional suspensions or fines. So in a nutshell, that's what happened. So obviously, you know, crazy incident. You know, from some standpoint, there's a lot of entertainment there. So you don't see these types of incidents in hockey anymore. Obviously, fighting's way on a decline, which, you know, but it still serves its purpose and has its moments. And you certainly, when you do see fights, you don't see anything too crazy like this, especially early in the regular season when the games, you know, aren't quite as meaningful. As we all know, as NHL season goes along, things tend to get a little bit more intense with the hitting and the fighting and different things as the games get more and more important. When this is all said and done, once we hear from the league and they're ruling on this, I think it's pretty safe to say Witkowski's definitely going to be suspended. I think 10 games is most likely going to be, based on the rule book, what likely happens to him. I wouldn't be completely shocked if we saw some supplementary discipline for Anthony Mantha. Not sure what it would be. I don't think it'd be anything too bad, but the fact that he was wailing away on Hamonic when he was down in the bench hallway area, I think does warrant something additional. Not sure exactly what. There's not much of a incidents to kind of look back on that I can think of to set kind of some sort of a precedence here. I wouldn't be surprised if there's additional fines to players like Ferland, Athanasiou, maybe Tkachuk. I can't see Tkachuk getting anything too extra for supplementary discipline. I say it might, if it does happen, it might be in the form of a fine, just because he was antagonizing Witkowski and using his stick. I mean, even though it was a minor thing, it's still something to egg him on in a chaotic incident. Probably wasn't a wise move, but we all know what Tkachuk's like. He certainly likes to stir the pot. So leave me a comment down below. What did you think of the incident? Do you think Witkowski went too far when he was ragdolling Kulak? Let me know your thoughts. I'll be curious to know what you think. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you leave me some comments down below and let me know your thoughts on this incident. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button in the middle of your screen and keep watching Top Shelf Hockey.